The first contact. The pristine white walls of Research Station Omega-7 had never seen blood before. That changed on a quiet Tuesday morning, when Kira Patel watched through reinforced glass as an 8-foot-tall alien systematically dismembered her colleague. She should have screamed, should have run. Instead, she activated her neural recorder and forced herself to document everything. The creature moved with lethal grace, its iridescent scales shifting from deep purple to excited crimson as it worked. Its ceremonial armor gleamed under the station's harsh lights, decorated with bones and teeth from a dozen different species. Subject appears to be treating the kill as ritualistic, Kira whispered into her recorder, fighting to keep her voice steady. Multiple opportunities for a clean kill ignored in favor of prolonging the encounter. The alien, a Nexar, she would later learn, tilted its elongated head and chittered something that might have been laughter. Two more of its kind decloaked beside it, their own armor adorned with similar trophies. They were comparing scores. They were treating this like a game. Kira had chosen this posting on humanity's furthest research station precisely because it was boring. Study atmospheric samples, catalog local flora, occasionally document a new species of spacefaring bacteria. That's what she'd signed up for. Not this, never this. But her scientific training took over, pushing aside terror in favor of observation. The Nexar hunters used advanced technology, personal shields, cloaking devices, weapons that could atomize organic matter, but they chose not to. They preferred to make it sporting. Their arrogance would be their undoing. They never scanned for hidden observation posts, never considered that their prey might be studying them back. The next 6 hours were the longest of Kira's life. She watched as the hunters methodically worked their way through the station's crew of 15. Some they pursued through the corridors like mice in a maze. Others they trapped and took their time with, recording everything for what appeared to be some kind of scoring system. Kira survived because she had insisted on building a hidden research blind in the station's walls, adamant that they needed a way to observe dangerous specimens without contamination. Her colleagues had called her paranoid. Now her paranoia was the only thing keeping her alive. When the hunters finally left, she emerged on trembling legs. The station's backup systems hummed quietly, indifferent to the carnage. Kira moved mechanically, gathering supplies and downloading every scrap of data she could find. Her hands shook as she typed out an emergency broadcast to the nearest colonial outpost. But as she worked, something else stirred beneath her fear. These beings, these Nexar, they saw humanity as nothing but game animals. She thought of her colleague Dr. Harrison's last moments, how he died trying to protect the younger researchers. How even in terror, humans had shown compassion. The Nexar hadn't evolved past their predatory nature. They'd just gotten better at it. But humans? Humans had evolved past being prey millions of years ago. We'd grown beyond pure survival into something more. And now these aliens wanted to drag us back down the evolutionary ladder? Kira's fear crystallized into something harder. She'd always been an observer, a researcher, content to document and analyze. But her species hadn't clawed its way to sapience by simply observing. When faced with predators, ancient humans hadn't just survived. They'd turned the tables. They'd become hunters themselves. As she prepared the station's self-destruct sequence, erasing any trace of her survival, Kira made a decision. She would keep observing, keep documenting, but not just to record humanity's extinction. No, she would study the Nexar's methods, their technology, their weaknesses. She would turn her scientific mind to a new purpose. The hunters wanted sport? Fine. She would give them a hunt they'd never forget. The emergency capsule was cramped, but it would get her to the nearest outpost. As she drifted through the void, Kira reviewed her recordings. The Nexar's hunting patterns were clear. They avoided heavily populated areas, preferring isolated targets. They used minimal scanning technology, relying instead on direct observation. And most importantly, they were confident. Too confident. They thought they were apex predators playing with prey. They had forgotten a crucial lesson from Earth's history. Given enough time and motivation, prey learns to hunt back. Kira's neural recorder blinked, still faithfully documenting. But now instead of pure research notes, she began marking timestamps. Potential weaknesses in the Nexar's armor, blind spots in their tactical patterns, moments when their pride made them sloppy. Note to self, she whispered as the capsule's engines fired. Begin research into historical guerrilla warfare tactics. Cross-reference with predator-prey behavior studies. She paused, then added, and find others. If they're hunting all of humanity, then all of humanity needs to learn to hunt. The capsule accelerated toward the distant outpost, carrying its cargo of data, determination, and the first seeds of humanity's resistance. The hunt was just beginning. Underground, predator species typically establish distinct hunting territories, Kira explained, her holographic presentation showing thermal maps of recent Nexar attacks. But the Nexar are different. They're treating the entire galaxy as their hunting ground, with no regard for traditional territorial boundaries. The Colonial Defense Council shifted uncomfortably in their seats. 6 months had passed since the Omega-7 massacre, and Kira's warning had proven prophetic. 3 more research stations and 2 mining outposts had fallen to the alien hunters. Admiral Reeves, a weathered veteran with cybernetic eyes, leaned forward. Dr. Patel, you've had 6 months to study these creatures. Give me something we can use. Kira nodded, switching to a new display. The Nexar's greatest weakness is their own superiority complex. They don't just want to hunt, they want to prove their dominance. This compulsion makes them predictable. The display showed tactical overlays of recent attacks. They avoid major population centers, preferring isolated targets where they can take their time. They use minimal scanning technology, believing their natural hunting abilities are superior. And most importantly, she highlighted several data points. They record everything. Their scoring system, Lieutenant Commander Zhao interrupted. You mentioned it in your initial report. Yes. The Nexar aren't just killing for sport, they're competing with each other. Every hunt is recorded, scored, and ranked. They're so focused on their rankings that they've developed blind spots. Massive ones. Kira brought up new footage, captured by hidden cameras she'd helped install at likely target sites. Watch their formation when they think they're unobserved versus when they know they're being recorded. The difference is stark. They become showmen, taking unnecessary risks for style points. Admiral Reeves' cybernetic eyes whirred as they focused. You're suggesting we use their pride against them? I'm suggesting we do what humanity has always done when faced with superior predators. We adapt. We study. We turn their strengths into weaknesses. Kira's voice hardened. And then we hunt them back. The plan came together over the next few weeks. Small resistance cells were established on vulnerable colonies, disguised as research stations or mining operations. Each cell was equipped with advanced monitoring equipment and a secure quantum communications network. Kira moved between the cells, training observers in xenobiology and predator psychology. Don't just watch where they go, she instructed. Watch how they move. Every species has patterns, instincts they can't override. Find them. The observers learned quickly. They documented how the Nexar's vision focused on movement, missing stationary targets. How their pride made them reject simple solutions in favor of elaborate kills. How their hunting parties followed strict hierarchies that could be disrupted. But it was Rio, a former big game tracker turned xenobiologist, who made the crucial breakthrough. They're not just recording their hunts, he reported, showing Kira recovered footage from a Nexar combat suit. They're broadcasting them live. These hunters have an audience. The revelation changed everything. The Nexar weren't just hunting for sport, they were performing. Their elaborate kills, their technological restraint, their insistence on fair hunts, it was all for show. Every performer has stage fright, Kira noted in her research log. Every showman can be upstaged. We've been thinking like prey, trying to hide or run. We need to start thinking like rival entertainers. The resistance cells shifted focus. Instead of just gathering data on Nexar hunting patterns, they began staging elaborate counter-performances. Hunting parties would arrive at seemingly vulnerable outposts, only to find their quarry had vanished impossibly. Recording devices would catch inexplicable movements, suggesting their prey had capabilities they'd never imagined. We're not just fighting them, Kira explained to a group of new recruits. We're destroying their narrative. They've built their entire culture around being the galaxy's apex predators. What happens to an apex predator that can no longer catch its prey? The answer came sooner than expected. A Nexar hunting party, frustrated by a series of failed hunts, broke protocol and launched a full assault on a mining colony. They abandoned their usual sporting rules, using their full technological capabilities. They still lost. The resistance cell, prepared for exactly this scenario, launched a counterattack that left 3 Nexar dead and their ship severely damaged. More importantly, they broadcast the entire thing on the hunter's own network. Note the psychological impact, Kira recorded later, reviewing footage of the surviving Nexar's reaction. They're not afraid of death, they're afraid of humiliation. Every failed hunt, every escaped prey, every counterattack chips away at their identity as supreme hunters. But victory came with a price. The Nexar, stung by their losses, began adapting too. Their hunts became more aggressive, their technology more sophisticated. They were learning. Kira stared at the tactical displays showing Nexar fleet movements. The hunters were changing their patterns, becoming less predictable. The easy victories of misdirection and psychological warfare wouldn't work forever. Begin Phase 2, she ordered, sending the coded message through the quantum network. It's time to show them what happens when humans stop running and start hunting. The real war was about to begin. Learning to hunt. The transition from prey to predator isn't just about weapons or tactics, Kira lectured, standing before a captured Nexar combat suit. It's about understanding the hunter's psychology and turning it against them. The resistance training facility, hidden beneath the ice sheets of Europa, hummed with activity. What had started as scattered observation posts had evolved into a full-fledged military operation, though not the kind Earth's traditional armies would recognize. Traditional military doctrine won't work against the Nexar, she continued, gesturing to the suit's neural interface. They expect prey to either flee or fight directly. So we'll do neither. Commander Rio stepped forward, his scarred face illuminated by the suit's diagnostic displays. The Nexar's combat suits aren't just armor, they're status symbols. Each marking, each trophy, tells a story of successful hunts. Take that away, and you wound them more deeply than any weapon could, Kira finished. Which brings us to today's breakthrough. The research team had finally cracked the Nexar's neural broadcasting network. Every hunt was transmitted live to their home world, where elaborate scoring systems tracked each hunter's performance. But the network wasn't just for entertainment. It was the backbone of their entire social hierarchy. Their suits don't just record kills, Lieutenant Wong, their chief technician, explained. They monitor the hunter's own responses, heart rate, adrenaline levels, neural patterns. The more fear they inspire in their prey, the higher they score. Kira smiled grimly. And now we can hack that system. The plan was audacious. Instead of trying to block or jam the Nexar's broadcasts, they would hijack them. Every time the hunters engaged their neural recorders, they'd be feeding false data back to their audience. Imagine, Kira told the assembled resistance leaders, a Nexar war party thinking they're cornering helpless prey, while their viewers watch them stumbling around empty corridors. Imagine their ranking systems showing fear responses from non-existent targets. The first test of the new system came sooner than expected. A Nexar hunting party attacked a research station on Titan, expecting easy prey. What they found instead was a carefully orchestrated performance. The station's crew, trained in the new tactics, never ran in straight lines. They moved like predators themselves, always just at the edge of sensor range, always leading the Nexar deeper into prepared killing grounds. Notice how they're breaking formation, Rio commented, watching through the station's hidden cameras. Their huntmaster is getting frustrated. He's about to make a mistake. The mistake came when the huntmaster, eager to salvage his reputation, charged ahead of his group. He found himself alone in a cargo bay, facing what appeared to be a cornered scientist. The scientist smiled and vanished. Holographic projectors, salvaged from Nexar technology, filled the bay with dozens of identical images. The Huntmaster's targeting systems went haywire, trying to track multiple heat signatures that didn't exist. He never saw the real attack coming. The resistance fighters, wearing modified versions of the Nexar's own cloaking technology, struck from multiple angles. Their weapons, designed specifically to penetrate Nexar armor, found their marks with surgical precision. But the real victory wasn't the Huntmaster's death. It was what happened next. Their neural network is going crazy, Wong reported, monitoring the hijacked broadcasts. The Huntmaster's final moments showed fear. Not just normal combat stress, genuine terror. His audience saw one of their elite warriors die like prey. The psychological impact was immediate. The remaining hunters retreated in disarray, their carefully maintained image of invincibility shattered. Begin Phase 3, Kira ordered, watching the Nexar ship flee. Upload the modified combat data to their network. Let's show their entire species what it feels like to be hunted. The Resistance had crossed a threshold. No longer content with simply surviving or defending, they had learned to strike back. But more importantly, they had learned to hurt the Nexar where it mattered most, their pride. Back in the training facility, Kira updated her research logs. Prey species developed defensive adaptations, camouflage, speed, warning signals. But humans? Humans develop offensive adaptations. We don't just learn to hide from predators, we learn to hunt them. She paused, considering her next words carefully. The Nexar wanted to turn the galaxy into their hunting ground. Fine. Let's show them what happens when they're not the only hunters in the game. The Resistance network was growing. More colonies were joining, bringing new ideas, new tactics. The Nexar had started this as a sport, treating humans like game animals. They were about to learn why Earth's history was full of extinct apex predators who had made the same mistake. The hunt was evolving, and this time, humanity wasn't playing the role of prey. Would you like me to continue with Part 4? The story is building toward a coordinated offensive against the Nexar, while maintaining the scientific analysis of predator-prey relationships that makes this perspective unique. The network. Every predator has a territory it considers safe. Kira addressed the assembled Resistance leaders from across human space. For the Nexar, that territory was everywhere. Time to change that. The command center beneath Europa's ice had expanded, now hosting representatives from 37 colonies. Holographic displays showed Nexar fleet movements, hunting patterns, and most importantly, their increasingly erratic responses to human counterattacks. Our success has made them desperate, Commander Rio reported, his scarred face illuminated by tactical projections. They're abandoning their ritualistic hunting patterns, attacking larger targets, taking bigger risks. Good. Lieutenant Wong interjected from her station, monitoring the neural networks. Desperate predators make mistakes. Big ones. The Resistance's greatest victory hadn't been in combat, it had been in information warfare. By hacking the Nexar's neural broadcasting network, they'd done more than just disrupt their hunting parties. They'd infected their entire social hierarchy with doubt. Look at their latest hunt formations. Kira highlighted several tactical displays. They're clustering together, moving in larger groups. Classic prey behavior. They're scared. Admiral Reeves' cybernetic eyes whirred as they analyzed the data. They're planning something big. These movement patterns suggest they're gathering their forces. Let them come, Kira replied, activating a new holographic overlay. Because we've been planning something bigger. The display showed a complex web of quantum-entangled communications nodes linking every human colony. What had started as scattered Resistance cells had evolved into a coordinated neural network of their own, one the Nexar couldn't detect or hack. They think they're the only ones who can broadcast their hunts, Wong grinned, bringing up their latest technological breakthrough. Wait until they see what we've been recording. The Resistance had been documenting every encounter, every victory, every Nexar defeat. But unlike the aliens' glorified hunting videos, these recordings showed something different, the hunters becoming the hunted. Psychological warfare goes both ways, Kira explained. They broadcast their hunts to inspire fear. We'll broadcast their failures to inspire hope and to show them what real fear feels like. The plan was unprecedented in scale. While the Nexar gathered their forces for what they thought would be a decisive strike, human colonies across the galaxy were preparing their own surprise. They'll target our largest research installation on Titan, Rio predicted, pointing to movement patterns. It's the kind of prestigious target their wounded pride demands. And we'll be ready, Kira nodded. Every piece of salvage technology, every tactical innovation, Every lesson we've learned about their psychology, it all comes together now. The Resistance had transformed the Titan facility into an elaborate trap, but not the kind the Nexar would expect. Instead of simple ambush points or weapon emplacements, they'd created something far more insidious. The entire station is wired into their neural network, Wang explained. Every corridor, every chamber is designed to feed false data to their combat suits. They'll think they're the hunters right until the moment they realize they're surrounded. But the true masterstroke wasn't the trap itself. It was what would happen next. The moment they engaged their neural recorders, Kira revealed, "Our signal will piggyback on their broadcast. Every Nexar watching their greatest hunters will instead see them fall, not to superior weapons or overwhelming force, but to prey that learned to hunt back." The command center buzzed with activity as final preparations were made. Supply lines were secured, backup plans were verified, and emergency protocols were put in place. But underneath the military efficiency, there was something else, a sense of anticipation. They made a fundamental mistake, Kira noted in her final research log before the operation. They assumed that because they had more advanced technology, more refined hunting techniques, they were superior. They forgot that humans don't just adapt to threats, we learn from them. We improve on them. And eventually, we master them. Warning signals flashed across the tactical displays. The Nexar fleet had begun its approach to Titan. All units, prepare for Phase 4, Kira broadcast across the quantum network. Remember your training. Remember what we've learned. But most importantly, she paused, allowing herself a grim smile. Remember that they're not the apex predators they think they are. Not anymore. The hunt that had started with humanity as prey was about to reach its climax. But this time, the Nexar would learn what it truly meant to be hunted by humans. Let me know if you'd like me to continue with the final part, Part 5, The Last Hunt. The story is building toward its climax, where humanity will finally turn the tables completely on their would-be hunters. The Last Hunt. The Nexar fleet descended on Titan like a storm of predatory birds, their ships gleaming with ceremonial markings. They had come in force, over 50 hunting vessels, each carrying their most prestigious warriors. This wasn't just a hunt anymore. This was their attempt to reassert dominance. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, Wang reported from her station. They want everyone to witness this. Perfect, Kira replied, watching the tactical displays. Let's give them a show they'll never forget. The Titan research facility appeared vulnerable, its defense systems offline, its corridors dimly lit. Heat signatures suggested scattered groups of humans trying to hide or escape. Everything the Nexar could detect suggested a target ripe for conquest. Everything was a lie. The first hunting party breached the outer airlocks, their combat suits recording every movement for their eager audience back home. Their huntmaster, bearing more trophies than any other, led the charge. Target acquired, he growled in their native tongue, tracking what appeared to be a fleeing scientist. The hunt begins. The neural network exploded with excitement as viewers tuned in from across Nexar space. This would be their greatest victory, the hunt that would restore their reputation as the galaxy's apex predators. Then the scientists stopped running. Fascinating creatures, the Nexar, Kira's voice echoed through the facility's speakers, switching to their language. So focused on proving their superiority that they never considered one simple question. What if the prey was studying them back? The facility's lights shifted, revealing corridors lined with salvaged Nexar technology. Every trophy the hunters wore, every piece of advanced equipment they carried. The humans had been analyzing it all, learning its weaknesses, improving upon its designs. Your neural network is impressive, Kira continued as the hunters realized they couldn't contact their ships. We especially enjoyed learning how to hijack it. Your audience isn't watching your hunt anymore. They're watching ours. The trap closed with surgical precision. Modified cloaking fields activated, but not to hide humans, to reveal them. Hundreds of resistance fighters, wearing armor reverse-engineered from Nexar technology, decloaked in perfect firing positions. You taught us so much about hunting. Kira's voice carried notes of cold amusement. The importance of psychological warfare. The value of recording every kill. The thrill of the chase. We're excellent students. The battle that followed wasn't really a battle at all. It was a demonstration. Every Nexar tactic was countered before they could execute it. Every attempt at retreat led them deeper into prepared killing zones. Their own technology, refined and turned against them, made their defenses useless. But the true victory wasn't in the combat. It was in the broadcast. Across Nexar space, viewers watched in horror as their greatest hunters were systematically taken apart by what they had considered mere prey. Every death was recorded in perfect detail, every moment of fear and realization captured by their own neural networks. A very important lesson about Earth's history, Kira narrated for their audience as the Huntmaster found himself cornered. Humans didn't become Earth's dominant species by being the strongest or fastest. We did it by learning from every predator we encountered, then becoming better predators ourselves. The Huntmaster's last broadcast showed something no Nexar had ever transmitted before: the complete understanding that they had catastrophically underestimated their prey. When it was over, Kira sent one final message across the captured neural network. This is humanity's formal response to your species' hunting practices. We are not game animals. We are not prey. We are the result of millions of years of evolution that taught us how to turn hunters into the hunted. She paused, letting the silence build. This was your last hunt in human space. Spread the word among your kind. The next Nexar ship that enters our territory will not be treated as a hunter. It will be treated as prey. And as you've just learned, humans are very, very good at hunting prey. The surviving Nexar ships fled, broadcasting their retreat for all their species to witness. Their carefully maintained image as the galaxy's supreme hunters had been shattered, replaced by the terrifying realization that they had awakened something far more dangerous than mere prey. In the command center beneath Europa's ice, Kira made her final research log. Humans have a long history of being underestimated by predators. The Nexar made the same mistake others made before them. They assumed that because they had superior natural weapons, they were superior hunters. She smiled, watching the tactical displays show the Nexar fleet retreating from human space. They forgot that humans don't just adapt to survive predators. We study them, learn from them, and ultimately, we become better predators than they ever were. The hunt was over. Humanity had evolved once again, turning a threat into an opportunity for advancement. The galaxy's self-proclaimed greatest hunters had learned a vital lesson. There's always a bigger predator. Sometimes, you just have to teach it how to hunt. The end.